Déjà vu is usually nothing more than a fleeting, almost charming glitch of the mind. You feel it for a second, shrug, and move on. But what if it doesn't fade? What if it sticks with you and begins to reshape your life? Back in 2017, I was renting a small, run-down apartment in central New Jersey. The kind of building where the walls seemed too thin, the lights buzzed when you walked by, and every door looked like it had been repaired 5 times over. My roommate Nick worked security on night shifts, so most evenings I had the place to myself. One Thursday night in February, I climbed the stairs after work, late and tired. And then, this smell hit me. It was strange. Burnt rubber mixed with some kind of citrus cleaner. It felt familiar, like a memory I couldn't quite place. I brushed it off and kept walking, but then it happened. The déjà vu. Only it wasn't that harmless half-second version. It was full force, crushing me in place. I knew what would happen next. The light above me flickered twice. A woman shouted something downstairs, muffled but sharp, and then laughed. At the far end of the hallway, something heavy fell, a loud metallic thud, and it all happened exactly as I knew it would. The next night, it happened again. I was watching TV, Chinese takeout on my lap, and suddenly, I knew what dialogue would play on screen, down to the pause before a phone buzzed on my nightstand. I tested it, writing these predictions down, and every single one came true. Then the dreams started. Every night, I dreamed of Nick walking into my room, pale and sweating, saying, "There's someone in the building." His voice sounded wrong, like it was being played back from a recording. On the 5th night, it wasn't a dream. At 3:12 a.m., my door opened, and Nick stood there, shaking, repeating the exact words. I grabbed a bat and followed him out into the hall. There was nothing in the stairwell, but the shadows felt off, like they belonged to someplace else entirely. When I told him about my dreams, he just stared and whispered, "I've been having them too." The déjà vu ended that night, but something about that building never let go of me. I moved out 6 months later, yet whenever I drive past, I feel this strange tug, like I'm supposed to go back, as if I left something unfinished there. Sometimes I wonder if déjà vu isn't just a brain hiccup, but a sign that reality isn't a straight line at all. And maybe I brushed up against a version of life where I made a very different choice that night. Small towns have a way of making you crave adventure. When you grow up surrounded by nothing but trees and the same 2 fast food restaurants, you start looking for something, anything, to break the monotony. For me and my older brother Chris, that something was the local rumor about an old house deep in the woods. People said it was abandoned decades ago. Some said squatters used it, others whispered about strange lights and sounds, but to us, it was just a cool weekend challenge. One October afternoon, we decided to finally see it for ourselves. The air was crisp, the leaves a mix of orange and brown, and the trail felt peaceful. At first, 10 minutes in, I got that feeling, the déjà vu, sudden and heavy. It wasn't like, "Oh, this feels familiar." It was specific. I remembered walking this same path, hearing Chris talk about his favorite bands, passing a broken fence post. And then, it happened. There it was, exactly as I imagined. A mile in, another memory hit me, stronger. I pictured a house, green paint peeling off, one step on the porch broken, a second-floor window shattered. And when we finally saw it, it was exactly the same. I froze, stomach tight. I told Chris it felt like I'd been here before, but he laughed and kept walking. The front door was already cracked open, as if it had been waiting for us. Inside, the smell was sharp and rotten, the kind of smell that sticks to your clothes. Wallpaper peeled like old skin, furniture sat broken and rotting. And then I said something I didn't even mean to say out loud. "I've been here before, and there's a woman upstairs." Chris stopped and gave me this look like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Before I could answer, we heard it, a floorboard creak from above. Someone was definitely up there. Chris, being braver, or maybe just dumber, suggested we check it out. We played rock, paper, scissors to see who would lead. I lost, but refused to go alone, so he went first. Every step on that staircase screamed like it hadn't been stepped on in years. At the top, the noise came from a room on the right. The door was half open. Chris reached for it and froze. When he pushed it open, he stopped dead, eyes wide. I barely got a glance inside before he yelled, "Run!" We bolted, flying down the stairs, out the door, and down the trail until our lungs burned. When we finally stopped, I asked him what he saw. He was pale, shaking. There was a woman, just standing there, looking out the window like a statue. Shoulder-length gray blonde hair. She didn't even blink. I swear I'd remembered her before I ever saw her, like a memory from a life I hadn't lived yet. I still wonder, was that déjà vu? A premonition? Or was I remembering something from another version of reality where we didn't make it out of that house? In 2020, life already felt strange. Between lockdowns, empty grocery shelves, and a world that seemed frozen in place, every day blended into the next. But for me, things got even stranger one snowy night near Scranton, Pennsylvania. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and I was driving home from my girlfriend's place. The roads were slick but manageable, just a thin layer of snow glistening under the streetlights. I approached this intersection near my house. 4 stop signs, no traffic light, notorious for accidents. People in town joked it was cursed. As I neared it, I got this heavy feeling in my chest. Not anxiety, not fear, but something off, like I'd stepped into a moment I'd already lived. My hands tightened on the wheel, and for reasons I couldn't explain, I slowed down more than usual. That's when it happened. A black pickup truck flew through the stop sign to my left, straight across my path. If I hadn't slowed down, it would have T-boned me, full force. I watched its taillights vanish into the snow as I sat there, shaking. I couldn't shake the feeling that I hadn't avoided the crash. I had already lived it. The memory was too vivid. I remembered the screeching metal, the crunch of glass, even the smell of the airbag as it deployed. Yet none of it had actually happened. At first, I chalked it up to stress. The world was falling apart, and I was probably just fried. But then it happened again, only smaller, a red light. I knew exactly which song would play on the radio before it did. I knew a woman would cross the street with her dog before she even appeared. And then came the dreams. The same crash, night after night. In one, I stepped out of the wreckage and saw myself slumped in the driver's seat, lifeless. I woke up gasping, heart racing, but somehow calm at the same time, like I was watching reruns of my own death. On the 5th night, I decided I wouldn't take that route anymore. I drove 10 minutes out of the way, using the highway instead. That same day, a friend texted me, "Did you hear about the crash?" A fatal accident. Same intersection. Same time I usually drove through. Same make and color as my car. Different person, but the exact same ending. Ever since then, I've wondered, Did I avoid death, or just shift into a version of reality where I got lucky? What if déjà vu isn't just your brain glitching, but your mind remembering another timeline where things already went wrong? Now, every time I hit a stop sign at night, I get chills. Because sometimes, I'm not sure if I'm living the moment, or remembering it. Before I ever sat behind a computer in IT, I spent 2 years doing overnight shifts at a long-term care home in upstate New York. The facility was old, but serviceable. Faded wallpaper, buzzing fluorescent lights, and that strange mix of cleaning chemicals and hospital food that never really leaves your clothes. Most of the residents were kind, some dealing with dementia, some just old and needing help. There was one woman I'll never forget. Miss Adelaide. She was 87, sharp enough most days, and always polite. She kept to herself, humming soft tunes and staring at an old faded photo of a young boy she called her grandson. No one ever visited her, but she always seemed peaceful in her own way. One night, around 2:15 a.m., I found her sitting straight up in bed, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. I asked if she needed anything, and she said something that stopped me cold. "You already asked me that. You ask every night, but tonight is different." Her voice was calm, almost rehearsed. It felt like she was reading a script I hadn't given her yet. I laughed it off nervously, offered her water, but she shook her head and said, "You should remember this part." The next night, she said the exact same thing. Same words, same expression. On the third night, she was gone, passed away quietly in her sleep around 1:50 a.m. When I walked into her room for my rounds, the bed was made and her belongings were already packed. Something about it wouldn't leave me alone, so I checked her file. There were old notes from past night staff going back years. Turns out I wasn't the first one she'd unsettled. Other nurses had reported her saying eerie, predictive things, like knowing their names before they introduced themselves, or saying, "You always take your break at 3:07. One note from 2013 specifically mentioned that exact moment, and the nurse confirmed they had just checked their watch when she said it. The staff wrote it off as confusion, maybe dementia. But I don't think so. It felt like she was trapped in a loop, living the same moments over and over until she finally slipped out of it. Even after she was gone, the building didn't feel right at night. Some employees later admitted they had strange dreams while working there, including one nurse who claimed a patient warned her she'd be fired soon. And a week later, she was. Now, years later, I still think about Miss Adelaide. Sometimes, when I'm falling asleep, I hear that same eerie humming she used to do. And every time I feel déjà vu in my life, I stop and wonder if it's just my brain misfiring, or if someone, somewhere, is living the same night over and over, trying to warn me to pay attention.